Hello students, we are in module 7 and the topic we are exploring for this module is a precursor to some of the other important topics that we will build on, that is inheritance, polymorphism, and so on. So the topic for today is object composition. Composition is an is-a relationship in classes and objects. So I'm just going to see if I can write this down. It's an is-a relationship, as opposed to inheritance, which is a has-a relationship, right? So has-a relationship is something that we will explore in the coming weeks, but this is the one that we are going to talk about today. So what is an is-a relationship? A class can be composed of or contain another class. So here is an example of a class that I have created, and as you can see, it's right here. It's a painting class. It's a class called painting, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to define a painting as something which has got a length and it's got a width and it's got a background color, and there's only two elements in this painting. One of them is the sun and the other is the moon, right? And the other is the moon. And I'm not going to focus so much on the sun as much. It's just to give the idea that you can have more than one object, or a bigger object can consist of smaller objects embedded inside it. So hence the two different types of objects. One is the sun and one is the moon. And I'm going to focus as the video progresses, you will see, I'm going to neglect the sun a little bit and then talk more about the moon, right? And make changes to the moon to see how those changes in the moon get reflected in changes in the painting, etc. Right? So let's take a look and see what we're doing here. The main program consists of defining a moon and defining a sun. And what I can do is I can create a painting by specifying a background color, the length, the width, and a moon and a sun. So what's going to go inside this painting is that a blue background and then a length of 6 feet, inches, whatever you want, and then a width of 7, and moon 1, which is a red moon, right? It has a radius 5, and it is color of this moon is red, and its shape is crescent, right? I can also change the characteristics of this moon. As you can see, I've actually gone and defined another moon here whose color, whose size is 7, whose color is cheese, and who's a full moon. So you can have different kinds of moon, half moon, waxing moon, waning moon. It's all type string, so you can put what you like. But the colors are an enumerated type. So, and I have defined certain values for these enumerated type, and we will look at that when we dive a little into our moon class. So, but this is the top level objective of our learning today in this video. What we're going to do here in this video is, number one, we're going to see how to construct a class that's composed of another object, or create an object that's composed of another object, which is what we're doing here. And also to see what happens when, for example, you would like to copy objects that are not simple objects, but compound objects which contain other objects. And I will introduce the concept of shallow copy versus deep copy. And this is a very, very important point in computer programming, right? Shallow stuff versus deep stuff. And so what I'm going to show here is I have created a painting P, and I will create another painting Q, which is a copy of P. I could have done this also by saying painting. This is going to take a while here. Painting. I could say painting, create a painting Q, and set that equal to P. Both of these things would have been exactly the same, right? But I can also do create Q and set it equal to P. So I'm doing a copy here. When I copy from one object to the other, right, typically what I will presume that everything from one object from P gets copied into Q, right? Normally this would not cause us any difficulty. and a shallow copy would work. But what really happens is when we have pointers or when we have memory allocation, and that's why we have discussed this topic after you have done allocating memory using pointers and using shared pointers and all of that stuff. So now you know how to create an object which has shared pointers. What happens if the embedded object, right, has been allocated memory using pointers? Will shallow copy work? And that's what we're going to explore to see, does shallow copy work? If it does not work, then how can I do a deep copy, right? So I'm just going to go over the main program right here. Create a painting queue, set it equal to P, print P, print Q. So at this point, if I've created a painting P and I've created a painting Q to look exactly like P, then for sure P and Q should be exactly the same. So when I do this piece of the printing, see out P and Q, they should be exactly the same. Question is what happens? What happens when you create two copies of the painting? So let's say this is P and this is Q. So initially both P and Q have to be exactly the same. Now what I'm doing here is I am changing the moon of P from moon 1 to moon 2 by using set moon. And here I'm changing the dimensions of P by changing the dimensions of P to 77 and changing its moon to 2. So initially P had a dimension of a length of 6, and now that's changed to 77. And it used to have moon 1, and now I've changed it to moon 2, which is cheese colored and a full moon. From a red crescent, it's gone to a full cheese moon. Then what I should see is that if P has changed from a crescent moon to a full moon, right, and its dimensions have changed, it's becoming a longer painting, then Q, who was the original copy, should remain what it was. It should still be the crescent moon and it should have the same dimensions, right? And now I've actually gone and made another change. This used to be blue. The background of both P and Q used to be blue. Now I've gone and changed it to green. So I'm just going to indicate the background by doing this. So this is what P now looks like. And this is what P used to look like and what Q looks like, right? And then what I'm trying to do here is I'm going to change, and now I'm going to print P and Q, right? And see if P and Q are exactly the same, or has the change in P, right, affected the change in Q or not. Our common sense tells us that when you make two copies, like I have an original and I make a copy of that, and then you go scribble on the copy, it should not change the original, right? So that's not our expectation. And let's see if that indeed is the case. So now let me go into the painting. I'm actually going to get out of this and go into my painting class, and I'm going to mute one thing that is a help as we progress. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to run the main program, not this one, but this one where I have made a copy, right? And so initially we should see that P and Q should be exactly the same. Then I go and make a change in P, change the moon, change the length, change the background color, and then I print both of them, and I should find that the original and the copy should be different from each other. So let's see if that's what happens.